Hi, welcome to Magic class. My name's Brian Kennedy. Hopefully you're enrolled in my Magic class, my in-person Magic class, but if not, feel free to check out these videos as kind of a starting guide into Magic. These are more meant as like supplementary for the kids who are coming into my class, but if not, you can always learn something new from a couple of these different videos. This first video is all on self-working card tricks. So this video is probably going to be the longest because they have a lot of steps to these tricks. Alright, without further ado, let's get on to it. So this first trick is called 21 cards. Here's the trick. What you're going to need is 21 cards. So count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 times 3 is 21. Now, essentially this works because of the algorithm that's involved. The card will always end up in the 11th position of the stack, but you have to do this in a very specific way for that to happen. So the first thing you do is have the cards in what's called dealer's grip, face down, and you are going to fold each card off into the row. You're going to make columns and rows. You're always dealing in the row. So you deal them all off, and this is what I don't like because this really takes a while, especially if you're a slow dealer. It's going to take you forever. Now, one thing I'll mention is you don't want two jokers in here because they might mistake one joker for the other joker as you're going along with the trick, and that will mess it up. So just make sure there's not two jokers or two of any of the same card. And tell them to pick a card and remember it. That's important because if they confuse it, that will ruin the trick. So they pick a card, they remember it. Then you ask them to tell you not what the card is, but just tell you what column it's in. Either this column, or this column. You're going to do this 3 times essentially for the card to always end up where this joker is. It's going to end up in the 11th position. So just so you can see exactly how this works, we're going to take one random card here, and I'm going to mark it with here, so you can follow along, you'll figure which card it is. We're going to use the 2 hearts just because it's got a lot of white. I'm just going to put a big old gold X on that, alright? Now, basically you're going to say which column it's in. We're going to pretend they chose the 2 of hearts. Now, you wouldn't know this in performance. You would only know what they tell you in terms of the column. So they tell you it's in this column. You're going to make sure this column ends up in the middle. So take either one of these first. Place it in your hands with the cards face up. Take the column with their card in it, place it on top of that, and then the last column will go on top of that. Now you're going to flip the cards over and you're going to repeat how you did that first method. You're going to, from the top, make your rows, right? Now, what will happen is the card will not end up yet in the 11th position. This takes 3 times you're going to do this before it ends up in the 11th position. So now it's just in a random spot. You don't know where it is yet. But you're going to ask them, okay, just tell me what row it's in. They're going to say this row. Obviously we can see where it is, but they're going to say this row. You make sure that row again goes into the center. So it doesn't matter which of these 2 rows you take first, but you're always going to pick this one and place it into the center. Take the last row on top. Now, do it again. Just repeat the method. A lot of wash your hands and repeating this. And this is remember this is time number 2. And again, it's not in the 11th position. This would be the 11th position, by the way. It's over here. But we know for sure, just because of how this algorithm works, the next time you do this, it will 100% end up in the 11th position. So, here we go. So now you're going to say again, you don't know it's the 2 of hearts yet. You still won't know what the card is. You're going to say, okay, what row is it in? Or, what column is it in? They're going to say this one. You say, perfect. And then just grab that. Grab this. This row goes, again, in the middle. Last row goes on top. That's okay, not a big deal. Deal from the top. Rows first. Make the column. So boom, boom, boom. Now you're going to see this will end up in the 11th position in a second here. So that's the 9th, 10, 11. There you go. You know now that is their card. What you don't want to do is now reveal this. So alternatively, instead of dealing these cards out this time, Now, you could end the trick right here and say, all right, your card is in the center. Or you could just throw it out. I know it's the two of hearts or whatever, but there's a better way to end this trick that will make it look much, much more magical. Alright, so here is the finale for how to reveal this card. We're going to do a basic premise in Magic, which is called the Magician in Trouble, where basically the magician has screwed up a trick and yet they somehow get out of it. Alright, so here's the basic idea with this. You're going to have your 3 piles, right? And you're going to say, okay, I think I screwed up the algorithm, so we're going to try something else here. Make sure to put, in the exact same order that you've been learning, put that pile with their selected card in the center and grab the rest. Now at this point you have this stack of 21 cards. You know that theirs is 11th from the top. So what you're going to do is, as you apologize for screwing up the trick, you're going to count off 10 cards. Right? So now you have 10 and you'll know that the top card in your left hand is their card. What you're then going to do is, while you talk, my line is, can you ever forgive me for this? See how my hands naturally come apart. And then you have the card over here. Depending on what they say, when you respond to them, you're going to put your hands back together and put the cards on bottom, leaving their card on the top. So if they say, when you say, can you ever forgive me for this? If they say no, respond to what they say. Don't just have a stock line, because it won't work depending on what they say. Listen to what they say and then put it back together and say, you know what, let me try something else now. Put the cards back together. You now have their card on top. Give me a number between 1 and 10. You want to keep it low, because if they say 21, I know you have 21 cards here and you could do that, but if they say 21, you're going to be sitting there forever. So don't do that. So just say, let's go with 1 and 10, just to make it simple. Say they say 7. You say, take the cards and show them what to do, when really you're going to put the card in the right position. You say, what I want you to do is count off 7 cards. So take their card, 1, that's their card, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Say, do you understand? They should, because I'm sure they've passed basic math. You say, good, take the cards and put them back on top like this. Now their card is 7th from the top. You say, count down 7 cards. And they'll count down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And you say, take a look. And boom. Much better reveal than just going, ha, there's your card. I got you. Much better reveal. There's another way to reveal I've seen taught online using Magician's Choice. But Magician's Choice is typically taught as something for beginners. But one, it took me a long time to explain it for the video. I just want to cut it down. Also, the Magician's Choice is very advanced. You have to really think on your feet. So if you want to go for that Magician's Choice thing, you can look up by a fellow named Disturb Reality. He explains this same trick, but he uses the Magician's Choice method. So if you want to try a different method, look up Disturb Reality, 21 cards. Alright, so this next trick is called the key card method. Before you can run, you gotta walk. So this key card method is a very simple way to have somebody pick a card, put it back in the deck, and then easily find it. Alright, so this is method 2. This is for the key card method. This is not a trick in itself, it's a method for finding a card. And you can do a million tricks with it. I am gonna go through 1 or 2 methods that I do use for this trick, or 1 or 2 presentations, I should say, for how I do this trick. Just a reminder, always make sure you are holding the cards in Mechanics grip. Make sure when you switch hands, you will hold them in Biddle grip. Mechanics grip or Dealer's grip, because you deal the cards this way, to Biddle grip. Just get used to seeing the cards held like that all the time. Now, if you remember how the key card method works, it's where they pick a card. You know the bottom card of the deck, you are going to cut it and have them place their card back on top, and you're going to put your key card on top. So I'm going to explain that again a little bit more slowly. We're going to use the 2 of hearts as the selection. Now we would never know that was the selection, of course, but just so you can follow along with what's going on, that will be our selection. So the key card method works like this. You have the cards in dealer's grip. They select a card. You can either spread the cards like this or like that, and it'll be a free choice. You will have no idea what this card is, but just for explanation purposes, we'll know that it's the two of hearts. Now, while they're looking at their card, you're gonna look at the bottom of your deck. And what you're gonna do, or you can cut the cards in the center and look at this card right here. Because what you're gonna do is you're going to place this card on top of their chosen card. So you're gonna say, I want you to take your card and put it here. So you notice that as I did this, the card came out like this, and this is exaggerated, but I can see what that card is. You have to know what this card is. You don't want to make it obvious that you're looking at that card, or this method won't work, obviously. If they figure out how you're doing it, it won't work. So you can say, all right, take your card and put it in the center. See how my hand comes extends? There's a purpose to extend. You take your card and place it in the center. Don't let me see it. You can even turn your head away, whatever you want to do to make it more convincing. And then, so then they're going to put their 2 on top. You are going to know, you're not going to know what their card is, but you're going to know the card on top of their card is the 8 of diamonds in this case. It will always be different. So you're going to throw that on top. And sometimes I'll set the deck down and I'll say, okay, I'm going to try something kind of interesting or whatever you want to say. Sometimes I'll say, okay, I'm just going to try something here. I'm going to flip through the cards. I'm not exactly sure what your card is, but I'm going to try to figure it out from your facial expression. And I'm going to use the twitch in your eyes to figure this out. So you got to give me your best poker face. What I then do with this method is if I have a table, I'll deal them into a table face up like this. I say, when you see your card, don't make any facial expression. I'm going to try to guess your card. And you just deal like this. Now, if you don't have a table, you can still do this method. I just have them cup their hands, and I deal into their hands. Now, I say I'm looking at their face, and you want to really stare into their eyes while you do this. But really, in your peripheral vision, don't look directly at the cards. You can look to where you're dealing every once in a while, but don't look directly at the cards because they'll know you're looking for a card. You want to look at their facial expressions. So what I do is I look down at the cards and back up at their face. But really, what you're looking for is that 8 of diamonds, because as soon as you deal the 8 of diamonds, you know their chosen card is next. So you know the 2 of hearts is next. Here's what sells this trick though. Once you deal their card, keep going. Then say, you know what? I think I got this. The next card I flip will be your card. Now they just saw you flip the card, so they are convinced now. And I always like to keep it sticking out a little bit so they can see it even. So they can really, like, in case they're like, maybe I made a mistake, they'll look back down, they'll say, nope, I know exactly where it is. And they'll be very convinced. And sometimes I'll say something like, I bet you $1 million that the next card I flip will be your card. Would you put money on it? Stuff like that. Usually they'll say no, because most people know me and they're not going to trust me. But you then take their card and you say the next card I flip will be your card. And you flip their card. And usually at that point they'll be really frustrated and not understand how this worked. That's one presentation to do this. Now this is just a simple way to be able to identify a card very, very fast. I will show you one second method for presenting this trick. Here's the second method. I call this the heartbeat trick. Now the problem with this trick is you need a table. That's it. As long as you have a table, you're pretty golden, and it's a pretty quick trick. So again, you spread the cards, or have them pick a card. You can spread them out on the table and have them pick a card. Ooh, this mat is not as good as I thought it was. So let's again just assume that they pick the 2 of hearts. You would have no idea what it is. You say, take a look at your card. While they look at it, you say, okay, put it back. So again, I glance that I have the 10 of spades here. They're going to place their card back. You put the 10 of spades on top. Sometimes I'll do a false cut. If we haven't gone over that yet, don't worry about it. There'll be other videos on it, and we'll learn it later. Just a little convincer that they're a little bit mixed up. Now, what you're going to do is spread the cards so every face is visible. This just takes a little bit of practice. to do. Now what I'm thinking is 10 of spades, 10 of spades, 10 of spades, and I know that their 2 of hearts is right below, remember, below the 10 of spades. So it's always to the right of your key card, to the right, all right? You're gonna then take, what I do is I grab their wrist and I say, okay, from your heartbeat, I'm gonna try to figure out what your card is. And a lot of people actually do get nervous, so if you actually know where that pulse point is, you'll feel it go do-do-do-do-do-do, which is hilarious because it is just a card trick and there's really nothing on the line for this. What I'll do is I'll go across the deck a few times and then I'll come right back to about where their card is, and I'll start spreading them a little bit more open with my other hand. And what I'll do is I'll say, put out your finger like this, and I'll guide their hand onto their card and push it out with their finger. Because you're using their hand, for some reason this always has a much bigger effect than other tricks. So again, that's just a second way to find a card using the key card method. Alright, so this next part is called forcing a card. Basically, you're making them pick the card you want them to pick while giving them the illusion that they had a free choice. There's 100 different methods to do something like this. This is a self-working method to do it. Alright, so here's the last trick from Magic Class 1. This is self-working for the most part. The only thing you gotta know is the top 2 cards to the deck. Alright? You want to know actually the second card from the top. So in this case, we'll have the 5 of spades. That's going to be our force card, and that card right there. What I like to do is I'll take my my business card and I will write 5. Oh, that pencil broke. Gets out. Let's use a Sharpie. Always reliable on Sharpies. If you really like magic, make sure you get a billion of these. 5 of spades. So just do your best. If you can't draw your force card, don't use that as a force card. You get that's the beauty of a force card. You get to choose whatever card you want. So that's pretty much, that looks close enough to a spade. Doesn't have to be perfect, but I'll write this before the trick or as the trick is starting, and I'll say, all right, perfect. And don't show it to anybody. I'll say I'm gonna put that there. Just where everyone can see it. Sometimes if I'm at a restaurant, I'll put a glass on top of it, or I'll put it between somebody's hands, whatever you want to do. You say, here's what we're gonna do. I want to try and make this as random as possible. So I want you to cut the cards in a weird way. I want you to cut about 1/4 of the deck, take that 1/4, turn it over, put it face up on top. Then I want you to cut about half of the deck. It doesn't have to be perfect. In fact, if it's not perfect, all the better. Then turn them over and put that on top. Then I want you to run your hands through the cards, and the first face down card you come to will be the chosen card. In this case, it's the King of Diamonds. Now that was the one card I put on top. This is not the actual chosen card. Then you're going to take all these cards that you just flipped and put them back on top. And you say, does that make sense? Put the King of Diamonds into the center. What will happen is they will then repeat what you did. They'll say, okay, we'll cut about 1/4 of the deck, flip it over, put it on top, then cut about half, flip it over, place it on top. This is easier with the table, by the way, but you can do it in somebody's hands. You'd need a third person there to kind of hold their hands. You're then going to scroll through the cards, as we may say in the computer world, and then you're going to say, all right, go ahead, and what card do you have? The 5 of spades. And then take those cards, and it doesn't matter what they do at this point. They chose the 5 of spades. One thing I might do is I might say, okay, keep it face down. All right, we don't want to look at it yet. Just take it out and put it face down. Now I'm going to show you my prediction first. So before you actually show it's the 5 of spades, have it put it down, face down. Hold it for a second. Look, my prediction was the 5 of spades. Now how crazy would it be if I got it right? Always play up a prediction trick. Give it a few moments to sink in what happened. They cut the cards. Now they're not perfect, so they could have cut anywhere in the deck. Show them every card is different, right? Make sure this was, they know this was fair, right? You did it once, you came to one card, they did it again, they came to a different card. 5 of spades. Let them freak out. Always do that little time dilation. Alright, hopefully that was all pretty understandable and easy to follow along with. Keep in mind, I did keep those tricks pretty loose in terms of how I taught them, because you should be developing your own method for talking to people. What's comfortable for you? Because I could show you exactly how I perform them and just shoot me performing them for somebody. But the problem with that is I don't want to influence you on exactly how I do it, because it might not work for you. I can watch somebody else perform something and I'll know the technicality or the technical moves behind it, but if I go and perform it, I won't do as well as them, and I won't be able to trick anybody because it doesn't fit my personality. Alright, so yeah, hopefully that's all easy to understand. If it's not, or something's wrong, or you want something more in depth, throw it in the comments below. The next video is going to be on card sleights, so actually starting to learn card sleights, which I enjoy much more. And to personally, once you learn the technicality, the technical work on card sleights, I should say, when you're nervous, to me it's easier to deal with than having to remember a formula that goes along with the self-working card tricks. I would rather be nervous with a sleight than a self-working card trick any day, because with a sleight I can get out of a sleight and I don't have to think about it, whereas you have to think about the self-working card tricks as you do them. Sometimes that helps people because you do have to follow a script. So hopefully you'll enjoy next week's a little bit more. Till then, see ya.